Okay, hello and welcome to um, today's lecture on project impact assessment and sustainability. Just a quick recap of what we did the last time. We look at the environmental issues and even other areas of sustainability that we talk about. We focus on project. Um, and we look at the mainly the triple bottom line approach, where we said that um, profit maximization is or wealth maximization is not a complete goal of the firm because we are not just seeking to make wealth or gains or monetary benefits, but also to support because the very time social and ecological sustainability issues are diminished, we are also likely to have problem with project activities. When the last tree dies, the last person dies. And of course, when the last person dies, what happens? The last business also dies because it will take human beings to manage businesses. So if there's no human being on earth, then there's no business and there's no progress in the first place. So trying to fulfill environmental goals or social goals alongside economic goals is not um call it it's not a favor we are doing to the environment, but rather an important aspect of project management process. So we look at a few things where we look at how we can go through the stages of projects life cycle, monitoring, controlling activities help us to do more sustainability justice to the environment. Then we look at also the SDGs and how the SDGs can help us in our sustainability orientation because there are indicators that in the SDGs that will help us to be able to um, make sure it guide our project delivery. They will also look at how we can have sustainability trade-off through our socio-ecological sustainability, where social, economic, and ecological sustainability meet. We came to understand that there will always be some trade-off, and that trade-off is very key because we definitely would sacrifice a few things to be able to achieve others. So it's very, very key to know which one we're sacrificing and what we're sacrificing should not be too much because then we may need to sacrifice a little of profit due to maybe make our workers worse off. Yeah. Or our workers need to do a lot more to protect the environment. So you see that while something is doing much or more, you are straining that a particular aspect of sustainability, but others will also be supported. Then we look at the concept of the circular economy, and we're saying that the circular economic concept means that we don't want to have waste. Everything that goes into the system must be useful. Even when it becomes a waste, we still can reuse, can recycle or upcycle or find a way of putting it back into the system. Yeah. So we look at some common ways we can protect the environment. And the takeaway was to ensure that we have regular review of our environmental performances to be sure that we support the environment at the right time, at the right place in every project that we come across. So today we'll be looking at the okay, so we have looked at also the simplified LC tool where we say that from resource acquisition to end of life, we need to look at life cycle assessment of every project or every material that we are bringing in so that the life cycle does not, sorry, life cycle does not provide any um, uh, uh, embedded environmental or social problems, so we can be able to get these things done all the time. So we have a life cycle assessment, and we look at the Global Reporting Initiative, where we ended the last lecture by looking at how the Global Reporting Initiative started in the US and then came all the way down to become now a global movement where we try to support environmental sustainability in businesses. Yeah. So we will move today to lecture 2, where we look at corporate social responsibility and sustainability reporting. All right, corporate social responsibility and sustainability reporting. Yeah, this quite an interesting lecture also. So CSR, basically, we are looking at it from how every organization tries to address environmental and social impact in a very responsible way. So CSR initiatives normally go into more of social and environmental initiatives, right? So in modern times, ESG disclosures or sustainability disclosures require that companies disclose what they have been able to do to sustain the environment, to support the people, to support the ecology, and all these things are beginning to surface. In the past, it used to be CSR, and ESG is also adding so much to it, which has to do with the environmental, social, and the governance practices that help us to, or that can attest to the fact that we are having a sustainable business. So, in our quest to having environmentally friendly business, we can look at it from three main concepts here: the ESG, CSR, and sustainability. So, ESG normally will come like a report on how much we have done, looking at it from the quantitative analysis. Okay. While the CSR normally will look at the quality of life that we have touched, but the sustainability issues or sustainability assessment would combine the two. So we can say that ESG plus CSR technically is equal to sustainability. Then ESG comes with self-regulated CSR. What it means is that we are not probably or necessarily required to go into CSR. It's kind of a voluntary thing. Then there are no laws that if you don't do this, they will do that. But it's a kind of a moral obligation. So self-regulated, we decide what to do. But ESG comes with some requirements from things that we need to do for people, for the environment, for governance practices, all those things are most of the time. Yeah, so the sustainability issues there will become both self-regulated and maybe externally regulated. Not maybe, yeah, of course, externally regulated issues. And then ESG is directed to business, that's the value of the business. Okay, while the CSR is not really directed to that, but sustainability combines both. Okay, then also ESG is implemented through measurable goals and audits. So you can have rights to that you are compliant. Yeah. But the CSRs are normally implemented through corporate culture, values, and brand management. Corporate culture, values, and brand management. So basically, people go into this CSR to show what they really have for the society and community, and that also goes into brand management. Yeah. So sustainability combines both measurable goals and these branding initiatives and culture, corporate culture expressions, and sustainability, CSR, and ESG. Okay, they help us to build the synergies and the distinction between how we make our money or we focus on business activities and how we interact with the ecosystem or other stakeholders. So the pillars of corporate social responsibility are mainly also in line with sustainability pillars like the social pillar, the economic pillar, and environmental pillar. You see why? So the corporate social responsibility has social pillar where we are looking at the environment, economic pillar where we want to empower people, okay, to have some economic empowerment. Sometimes we even build schools or build a market or build roads, whatever we do. And then the environmental pillar also help us to make sure we don't contaminate the environment and also help the people to uh, promote the environmental sustainability in those environments. So there are four dimensions to CSR. Sometimes you can even have more, but for this course, we'll look at the economic, legal, ethical, and the philanthropic responsibilities. So the economic has to do with looking at the economic well-being of the people, including your employees. So charity begins at home. There's some companies that pay their employees very little, and they are not well paid, but they want to go and do big things out there. But no, CSR actually starts from the organization where you uh, uh, ensure that your employees are well off. Okay, you cannot, of course, pay everyone adequately, but what is reasonable is a matter of fact. Okay, then your customers and your residents. So your customers also, how do you empower your customers economically? Sometimes there are some kind of maybe promotions. But the biggest economic empowerment you can give to your customers is to give them a sustainable price. In fact, a reduced price. You don't overcharge your customers. You charge your customers at a reasonable level. So instead of putting money in their pockets physically, you are reducing their expenditure. So if you are even enjoying monopoly, you are not paying, you are not making them pay too much for the goods. Okay, and the residents, of course, providing social amenities that can empower them economically. Some of them actually, some companies build markets and other economically viable ventures where they can be able to um, work on the uh, products. Going to add an activity. Okay. Legal side, which the essentially promote the position of the law. What is the position of the law? Preserving lives, no injuries, ensure that communities are protected from harm, not disposing of harmful substances in the environment. So all of them are part of the CSR initiative. Yeah. So then we have ethical part of or ethical dimension, which is what we feel is right. Okay, the law may not regulate everything, but there are some things that we can say, okay, this is right. So we want to do it even though it is not legal. But it's charity. Okay, that's especially giving back to society. Okay, so this is very important because most of the companies within Aquarian Cliff extract natural resources and they have to necessarily give back to their communities, charity, so that their communities can also remain calm. I tell people when I go to countries like Germany and I see that crime rates are low, and people are not, everyone is not within the big walls around their houses and all that, it's because the average person is okay. In Ghana, if the average person is not okay, what happens? People may resort to other means of making money. So crime rate definitely increases in communities where there is high disparity between the rich and the poor. Right. So how do we blend CSR dimensions for sustainable project management? So we need to look at all the four areas. So when we are managing our projects, we have to make sure that our project is um, sorry about that. Yeah. So to make sure that we have a proper blending um, with all these goals, the economic, the philanthropic, the environmental, and then the ethical frameworks must work hand in hand to be able to support our our stakeholder community, which start from employees. Yeah, like I said, you cannot have your employees working under dangerous conditions, no PPEs, and then you say you are building school for the community. We must make sure these things start from home. And we must see, again, there will be some trade-off, right? So we need to have a blend. We cannot always be going for maybe only the philanthropic side without looking at the economic, or always the economic without the philanthropic side. So because in your community, there are different kinds of people. And some will benefit from the philanthropic side, others will benefit from the environmental side, others will benefit from the economic, others will benefit from the ethical side. So you have to make sure you blend all of these um, in a way that is very well suited to your environment. All right. So, but you need to also find out what the needs of the people are, right? And then it's able to provide that. So there's another way of looking at that. Maybe this year, if you are working on something on environment, maybe next year you can go to something of philanthropic, something economic. Okay, so you can actually blend it in a way that year after year you may be changing your focus or the dimension you are taking from time to time, and that can also be a mix. Right. So let's look at the intersections between sustainability pillars and our CSR. You see, if you look at the sustainability pillars, the environmental, what we call ecological, social, and then economic. What is sustainable, which is called social ecological, is sustainable. If something is socially sustainable and environmentally sustainable, it means it is bearable. We can actually bear that as a community or people. There's community can the human beings can bear it, and the environment can also bear such a thing. What is environmentally friendly at the same time economically friendly is viable, right? So yeah, doing business and making profit but not destroying the environment, that's a viable business. Then what is equitable is economic and social. Why so? Because it means that there's a win-win for because human beings are behind the business and human beings are behind the social economy. So to ensure there's some equity, you are supporting both the employees or those who are generating the income or the community where the thing is coming from, and then the business itself. This is how we try to work on it, and then we can have a good social responsibility. So social responsibility, let's not look only at the outside of going to build maybe one school in one corner as social responsibility. Look at it from multiple perspectives. Yeah. As usual, if you have any question, please just yeah, let me know. You can raise your hand or you can just unmute and then you can make those inquiries. So there are some components of environmental reporting. I think someone asked this question in the previous lecture about what and what can we use to determine whether we are performing well environmentally or not. So we look at energy use. When we use energy, you can track your energy consumption over time. And then you can even compare with analogous institutions. to see whether your energy use is increasing or reducing. Sometimes we don't really monitor these things. Only the accountants and the top management know about these things, and they don't communicate this to lower level managers or middle level managers or even employees to know that, hey man, we are spending so much on energy. Okay, maybe we just take it for granted, but sometimes, yeah, it can be very huge. Then we have greenhouse gas emissions, which can also be measured. Water consumption, which we can also tell. So, when the water consumption, not water that we drink, but those entities or companies that use a lot of water, do we reuse water or we just use the water and then we allow it to flow away? So sometimes it's check out the waste management. Are we using sustainable waste management? Are we separating waste? Are we burning waste or we are sending to the landfill or we are recycling it or upcycling it? Okay, and biodiversity impact. What is our effect on the immediate environment? Is there any spillage or hazardous compound or substances that are going to the environment? All these things can help us to know whether we are doing sustainable business or not. Then this report often include both quantitative and qualitative information where we can look at emission figures against environmental policies that we have put in place and how maybe sometimes the aesthetic value, oh, we have a very green environment. That is more quantitative. You cannot quantify it, but see, yeah, this is a very good one. Okay. So we may also look at our environmental impact assessment and sustainability discussions from the project management office perspective. Well, we call the PMO. Do we have a sustainable PMO? Sustainable PMO, it means our project office actually is looking at providing us sustainable tools, techniques, technologies, um, resources. Because first, you need to make sure that uh, governance and leadership is sustainability aligned, right? So let me say governance and leadership, the project manager and policies that we make. Okay, must be sustainability friendly. Then the strategy that we use to implement. For example, if the governance structure says we should buy biodegradable packages, are we also going to have a, a, a strategy where we are buying from sources that really provide um, biodegradable biodegradable inputs. So governance and layout strategies, but what about the procurement and or the procurement office? Are they also in line with that? Then our processes and methodologies, are they also with fit to biodegradable or call it sustainable inputs? Is our processes able to contain that and make it work well in line with what you are doing, or it will come into conflict, like what we say, we call it square pegs in round holes, around pegs in square holes. So there must be some synchronization, yeah. Um, then training, innovation, and technology. So people must be trained to be able to use new ways of doing things. If we are going to use less water and we are going to reuse water, how is that going to be done? Are we going to do train people to get you? Then stakeholder engagement, everybody must be involved in the sustainability process. So your community where you operate, part of your sustainability initiative or corporate social responsibility must make sure that you also engage them to understand the sustainability initiatives. Then measurement and reporting. Yes, as you do all these things, you can measure and report in the form of an ESG, and that gives you an ESG compliance. And then you don't end there. You continuously improve for new ways of doing these things. Then you can get to the top. Okay. So what are the benefits of CSR and environmental reporting? Of course, your reputation as a company will enhance when you do that. Many companies or suppliers or customers are looking forward to doing business with those who are environmentally sustainable or friendly. So you need to make sure you report, you do these things and then you report it. So client investors and many stakeholders will be looking out for that. Those of you who are in international business environment, you already understand how these things affect businesses if you are reporting or not reporting. Yeah. And then it also helps to support the risk management because you better understand the environmental risk and the impact of your activity on the environment and you reduce it. Okay. It also makes you very efficient when you are reducing energy consumption, water use, and waste in your organization. You are definitely creating an efficient work environment or efficient operation system, and that could even further promote your economic sustainability while you are looking at the ecological sustainability issues also. Okay. And then you can also attract and retain very good uh, clients that are increasingly employees who are looking forward to working with companies that are sustainable. So that is very important. If your business is not sustainable, you will not have employees who are uh, uh, skilled towards sustainability practices. Okay, there are some places that the employee will tell you, no matter how much you pay me, I'm not going to work here for your organization because you don't respect the environment. And there are more young people who are coming up who are really, really aggressive about some of these things because of what they know about the environment and the impact of the businesses on climate change and climate ozone layer depletion and all that. And then, of course, you have very good relationship with your regulators. Regulators will not come after you. Rather, they will use as a good example to show others. So try and do it, and you'll get that. Challenges when we are implementing CSR and environmental reporting. One difficulty is how accurately these things can be measured. And again, someone asked this question the last time, how to measure it. There can be multiple ways of measuring these things. And sometimes some of the measurements are a bit controversial. And for example, how are we going to measure pollution from our plants when we have similar enterprises in the area? If we are operating an industrial area, and we have multiple businesses working on that, or what is a good trade-off, for example, balancing, okay, issues, how can we ensure we are able to satisfy all the three arms of sustainability whilst working on enterprise CSR initiatives, where do we go from? All right, and then the cost, sometimes the cost can be huge. And how do we prove to stake our shareholders and owners of the company that it may it's still good to go and spend $20 million in an environmental or in a corporate social responsibility and not give it to owners as dividend. Or even if it's just a simple 1 million cities or maybe 200,000 cities. How are you going to justify that? Okay, so we need to understand how these things work. Yeah, also um, another one is how to address potential conflict between short-term financial goals and long-term environmental sustainability. So in the short term, companies want to make profits. But if we are not careful, then in the long term, we are going to destroy the environment gradually. So we have to make sure these things are well aligned. So we have a couple of environmental reporting standards and frameworks. Again, the person wanted to know about this, so you can use any of these and read about them and see how they work. We have looked at the GRI already. There's also another one called Carbon Disclosure Project, which focuses on environmental impact, particularly on the climate. Uh, how that's how we now have the carbon emissions well calculated. There are equipment for that, and then we can also have carbon offsets. Okay, so all these are there. So if your organization is interested, you can um, talk to the Environmental Protection Agency, and they can give you some ideas about how these things work. They have the capacity, or other private organizations that may know about this. Then Sustainability Accounting Standard Board also is helping selling the kind of the ESG framework and reporting. So we have that, and then we have integrated reporting framework or we call the IR framework for short, which promotes the integration of financial and non-financial reporting into our final reports. So they work together closely with our Sustainability Accounting Standard Board, which also develop industry-wide sustainability accounting standards. So all these things have helped, or they continue to help focus our operations into a more sustainable way. So the environmental reporting standard and frameworks, we have the TCFD, what we call the Task Force Climate Financial Disclosures, which provide a recommendation for globally recognized frameworks that can help us to disclose the effect of our activities on the climate, and then how it affects also our financial performance. So the TCFD has fulfilled its remit and disbanded in 2023. So they have done their work and submitted reports. The International Financial Reporting Standard Foundation, or the IFRS Foundation, has taken over the monitoring of the progress of organizations' climate-related disclosures. So IFRS now, or has since the last 2 years or so, taken over. So you can also follow up on some of these to know how your organization can benefit from their systems. So what would technology play in all this? So we have advanced data analytics that can help processing large volumes of environmental data. Where would this environmental data come from? Either from ESG reporting or your own equipment that you have installed. Some of you in your organization, you have uh, uh, equipment that are installed to monitor emissions and the use of water and many others. Okay, you have Internet of Things that help you to know the real-time monitoring or reports on how things are working. Then we have blockchain technology. Blockchain actually help us to be able to trace where waste, for example, are coming from. So blockchain result in traceability and transparency of environmental data, so we can tell where things are working on, things are coming from. Like some waste can be traced to certain organizations. So if there is a oil spillage, for example, it can be traced if we have a good blockchain system. So it results in traceability. Then AI, the artificial intelligence, can help to identify patterns and predict environmental impact. For example, if we provide AI with all the data on our electricity consumption over time, it's able to give us ideas about which areas are need to be tackled. It can even provide ideas on how we can reduce certain harmful effects of our activities on the environment. Yeah, so we have other digital platforms that make things much easier for us. So we can actually do more if we want to. All that we try to say is that if we have digital technologies included in our CSR initiatives, it makes things better. So our IT department or digitization department should be empowered to work hand in hand with other aspects of organization, including accounting and all that, to brainstorm with top management on how to use these tools to support our environmental reporting and corporate social responsibility. Yeah. Salam.
Okay, Doc, thank you very much, and good evening to all.
Good evening.
Doc, I just want to hear your view on this particular thing that is raised in the Western part of the world, especially about climate change. It's like they talk about climate change, global warming, bushfires, and now even the sea is becoming. They say the sea is becoming warm.
Mm-hmm.
change.
Please, can someone get some? I cannot hear him. Or am I the one who has the internet issue? Can someone hear some?
No, Doc. I think it's general.
Look, we are
His
all
network
having
is
the
not that
same
stable.
issue. Yeah, we are all having the same issue.
Oh, okay,
Look,
okay,
everywhere,
okay.
everywhere, the network
Oh,
is bad.
okay. It's a short
No,
lecture. So let me
yeah. No, I can continue this question for him. I think he's talking about the global warming in relation to the sea level rising due to global warming, greenhouse depletion, and US pulling from the World Sustainability Plan. US now they are now doing more of the drillings in Venezuela and increasing the carbon print in the world. So is the world really going towards sustainability at the moment?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
are they really able to measure and then trace the root cause of this climate change things?
Well, so there are a lot of theories about how do you call it, climate change. People don't believe in it, like Trump. Those who are from the school, the Trumponomics, they will tell you that, hey man, it's just a how do you call it, an illusion that there's not like climate change because he's not able to touch it. But truly, if you um take it practically, um I don't know, maybe because growing, that is why I feel this way. But now, um, sleeping without air conditioning in certain areas is terrible. Like, okay, I used to stay without AC in the same area. I've moved maybe just about 2 kilometers apart. Uh, but in the past, I'm okay. But now it's difficult without AC. I think a lot of things have changed. Now our Hamilton is lost. Just yesterday we had rain again. Um, there have been a lot of issues in Qatar and other parts of Ghana about flooding or yeah from the sea. Homes have been destroyed. Um, there have been a lot of flooding in countries that hitherto were not experiencing so much floods. Bushfires in the US are becoming more than yes. So yes, there are signs that it is not business as usual, but yeah, the scientific facts are hard and clear, but again, they are too remote from the ordinary man's analysis. So people say that some ice is melting. People talk about the depletion of the ozone layer. No one knows. But I think this whole thing about sustainability um, should be seen as a responsibility. For example, how many of us would want to go and put our nose behind a smoking vehicle? Let's assume it's not even destroying the ozone layer. Maybe those of us on this call, we are able to afford air-conditioned vehicles. But look at the majority of people who travel by the road. So remember that when these things go out, even if there's no ozone layer which is being depleted, the immediate environment, there are problems that we need to solve. All right. If we can get water from, energy from hydroelectricity, why do we have to go and burn fuel? Okay. So it is, for me, beyond science to practicality. What really works? That is what I'm thinking, though. I don't know if anyone also has some other dimensions to it. I hope you can hear me, though. I hear there is network problem. But,
Oh, Doc, we can hear you. We can hear you.
so, people like Trump and co who believe this whole thing is a sham, yeah, they may have some reasons to believe so, but it is not entirely true that there's nothing wrong with the way we do things. Yeah. I'm just looking at the way we are even extracting gold in Ghana. Imagine some 50 years ago, they started like that. Ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time, we may not have been born because the distraction is just too much, right? Look at all the water that we got to know, the water bodies we got to know with checking and brown. All those are unsustainable ways of doing things. Okay, so and one other thing that also make me like the sustainability concept is this. If we don't promote sustainability concept, do you know what it means? If everybody becomes business minded, people will begin to kill each other for money. People will kill because if you forget about social sustainability, you don't care about workers. People will expose their workers to danger. They will die. They will get new workers because of course there's unemployment. Okay, so it is to say that we are protecting ourselves when we talk about sustainability because you don't know when you become you'll be at the receiving end of a bad social sustainability initiative where you be hurt. So when you are trying to protect other people, remember you are also protecting yourself in the process. So everybody is trying to protect society. They are all protecting ourselves. I think that will be much desirable. Yeah, that's how I see it. I see it as a golden rule. Imagine you are the grass. Imagine you are the ground. Okay. Okay. You are the employee. How would you want to be treated? If you're a manager, you also treat the people the same way. What is good for the goose, good for the ganders. So that's it. Any questions? Any questions?
Good evening. Today, the network has not been